June 13th, 1943. A girl runs into a bathroom stall to cry. She locks the door. She takes off her glasses to wipe her eyes. And in that moment, the world changes forever. When we think of the Harry Potter saga, we think of epic battles. We think of the Chosen One. We think of the Dark Lord. But we rarely think about the girl in the toilet. For most of us, Moaning Myrtle is a punchline. She is the comic relief, the annoying, theatrical ghost who screams too loud and spies on students in the bath. We laugh at her tantrums. We roll our eyes when she floods the corridor. But we are wrong. If you strip away the jokes and the schoolyard legends, you are left with a cold, terrifying reality. Myrtle Warren was not just a ghost. She was the patient zero of the Wizarding War. Her death was the catalyst that allowed Tom Riddle to abandon his humanity. Think about the mechanics of dark magic. To create a Horcrux, the vilest object in existence, one must commit the supreme act of evil. Murder. Killing rips the soul apart. We know that Tom Riddle created his first Horcrux while he was still a student at Hogwarts. That object was the diary. The same black book that would almost kill Ginny Weasley 50 years later. But a Horcrux requires a sacrifice. A life for a life. That sacrifice was Myrtle. She wasn't just a random casualty of a monster set loose in the castle. She was the fuel for Lord Voldemort's immortality. Every time he came back, in the Philosopher's Stone, in the Chamber of Secrets, in the Goblet of Fire, it was possible only because a 14-year-old girl died alone on a cold tile floor. History remembers the killers. It rarely remembers the victims. But to understand the darkness that consumed Hogwarts, we have to look away from the monster and look at the girl. We need to wind the clock back. Because before she was a ghost and before she was a sacrifice, she was just a student named Myrtle Warren. And the tragedy is, the world had failed her long before she ever met the basilisk. There is a common misconception among fans that Myrtle was a Hufflepuff. It fits the stereotype. She was sensitive, emotional, perhaps a bit weak. But the Sorting Hat doesn't make mistakes based on stereotypes. Myrtle Warren was a Ravenclaw. This detail changes everything. It means she wasn't just a crybaby. She was intelligent. She was sharp. She likely valued wit and learning above all else. But in the social hierarchy of Hogwarts, intelligence doesn't protect you from cruelty. In fact, sometimes it makes you a bigger target. Let's look at the context. The year is 1943. Outside the magical protection of the castle, the Muggle world is tearing itself apart. World War II is raging. London is being bombed. Many of the students at Hogwarts, including Tom Riddle and likely Myrtle herself, would return to orphanages or homes in cities that were actively being destroyed by the Luftwaffe. And here lies the tragic irony. Hogwarts was supposed to be the sanctuary. Parents sent their children to Scotland not just to learn magic, but to keep them away from the air raids and the shrapnel. They thought the stone walls of the castle were the safest place in Great Britain. But for Myrtle, the castle was a battlefield of a different kind. She didn't have friends. She didn't have a clique. By her own admission, she was teased relentlessly. The ringleader of her torment was a girl named Olive Hornby. We don't know much about Olive, but we know enough. She was the type of bully who finds a single insecurity and hammers at it until it cracks. For Myrtle, it was her glasses. It seems so small, doesn't it? In a world of dragons and dark magic, a girl is being tormented because of her eyewear. 4 eyes? Ugly. Pathetic. These weren't magical curses. They were mundane, human insults. But they cut deeper than any hex. Imagine being 14. You are far from home. The world outside is at war. And inside the one place where you are supposed to belong, you are completely alone. You are a Ravenclaw, so you analyze it. You overthink it. You internalize every insult. On that specific day, Olive Hornby didn't use a spell. She used words. She made fun of Myrtle's glasses one too many times. And so Myrtle did what many of us have done when the pressure becomes too much. She ran away. She sought out the one place that offers privacy in a boarding school, the second-floor girls' lavatory. She went there to be alone. She went there to wash her face and compose herself. She thought the worst part of her day was over. She thought she was escaping the monsters in the corridor. But she was wrong. The monster waiting in the pipes was something ancient. Let's reconstruct the final moments of Myrtle Warren's life. It is evening. The bathroom is damp and dimly lit. The only sounds are the dripping of a faucet and the muffled sobs coming from the U-bend of a toilet in the last stall. Myrtle is alone, or at least she thinks she is. Then the door creaks open. Footsteps echo against the stone. They are confident, steady. Myrtle freezes. She holds her breath, waiting for Olive Hornby to come in and finish the job, to throw another insult, to laugh at her swollen eyes. But then she hears something else. A voice. It isn't Olive. It isn't a teacher. It is a boy. And he isn't speaking English. He is making strange, hissing sounds. Guttural, sharp noises that feel wrong, like nails scratching against slate. Now, put yourself in Myrtle's shoes for a second. She is humiliated. She is emotional. And now a male student has the audacity to barge into the girls' lavatory and start making weird noises. The sadness vanishes, replaced by indignation. This is a breach of rules. This is her private space. She decides to act. She decides to be brave. Myrtle wipes her face. She reaches for the latch of the stall. In her mind, she is preparing a reprimand. She is going to tell him to get out. She is going to report him. She swings the door open. What are you doing in? That is as far as she gets. She doesn't have time to scream. She doesn't have time to process the horror of what is standing by the sinks. She sees a boy, Tom Riddle, standing there. But he isn't looking at her. He is looking at the sink, which is sliding open. And rising from the depths is the basilisk, the king of serpents. The gaze of a basilisk is instant death. There is no pain. There is no struggle. One moment, Myrtle Warren is a furious, tearful teenage girl defending her dignity. The next moment, she is an object. A cold, lifeless shell collapsing onto the wet tiles. Her body hits the floor with a heavy thud. Her glasses slide off, cracking against the stone. The silence returns. Tom Riddle doesn't panic. He doesn't check for a pulse. He watches the girl die with the same indifference you might show to a stepped-on insect. To him, she isn't a person. She is a tool. Her death is simply the energy spike he needs to perform a spell he has been researching. The murder is complete. But the horror is just beginning. Because while her body lay cooling on the floor, something much darker was happening to her soul and to his. In the wizarding world, the soul is supposed to be whole. It is sacred. But Tom Riddle discovered a loophole in the laws of nature. He learned that if you commit an act of pure evil, the soul cracks. It splinters. Myrtle Warren was that crack. She was the sacrifice required to create the very first Horcrux, the Diary of Tom Riddle. Let that sink in. Every other Horcrux came later. The ring, the locket, the cup, they were made by a powerful wizard. But the diary was made by a schoolboy. And the raw material for that dark magic was the life of a crying girl in a bathroom. He didn't just kill her. He harvested her death. He took the violation of nature that occurred when the basilisk stared her down, and he encapsulated it into the pages of a notebook bought on Vauxhall Road in London. This act did more than just preserve Tom Riddle. It destroyed another life instantly. Tom needed a scapegoat. He couldn't have the school closing down. That would send him back to the orphanage. So he looked for the perfect target. Someone who was an outcast. Someone with a dangerous pet. Rubeus Hagrid. Because of Myrtle's death, Hagrid was framed. He was expelled. His wand was snapped. He was forbidden from using magic forever. 2 lives were ruined that night. One ended physically on the wet floor. The other was socially destroyed, condemned to live as a gamekeeper on the edge of the society that rejected him. But the most chilling part of this legacy reveals itself 50 years later. When Harry Potter opens the Chamber of Secrets, he finds the diary that possesses Ginny Weasley, the diary that slowly kills her. Think about the cycle. The magical energy that allowed the memory of Tom Riddle to step out of the pages and almost kill Ginny. That energy came from Myrtle. The ghost of Myrtle Warren had to float in that bathroom for decades, watching students come and go. And then, one day, a small, red-headed girl walks in, holding the very object that was created by Myrtle's murder. It is a closed loop of trauma. The weapon created by her death returned to the scene of the crime to claim a new victim. And Myrtle was the only one who was there for both chapters of the story. But here is where the story shifts. Usually the victim fades away. They become a statistic. But Myrtle refused to fade. In fact, she did something most ghosts never do. She went on the offensive. We tend to think of ghosts in Harry Potter as being trapped. We assume they are bound to the location of their death like a prisoner in a cell. But that wasn't the case for Myrtle, at least not at first. After she died, Myrtle Warren didn't stay in the plumbing. She didn't stay in the castle. She went hunting. Her target was the girl who laughed at her glasses. Olive Hornby. Imagine the horror of Olive's life. She was a school bully, yes, she was cruel. But she was still a child. And suddenly she found herself haunted by the invisible, vengeful spirit of the girl she had tormented. Myrtle admits this herself. She says, "I determined to haunt Olive Hornby to make her sorry for what she'd done." This wasn't a passive haunting. This was psychological warfare. For years, everywhere Olive went, Myrtle followed. She was the cold spot in the room. She was the whisper in the ear. She was the constant reminder of guilt. The climax of this vendetta occurred at a wedding, specifically the wedding of Olive Hornby's brother. Picture the scene. It is a day of celebration. Flowers, music, laughter. And then Myrtle appears. She crashes the ceremony. We don't know the exact details, but we know it was catastrophic enough to make headlines. She didn't just want to scare Olive. She wanted to humiliate her. She wanted to ruin the happiest moments of her life, just as Olive had ruined Myrtle's last day on Earth. It got so bad that Olive Hornby actually went to the Ministry of Magic. Think about that. A teenage girl had to file a formal legal complaint against a ghost. The authorities had to intervene. The ministry issued a restraining order against a spirit. They forced Myrtle to return to Hogwarts. They confined her to the place of her death. This is why she is always in that bathroom. She isn't there because she loves the toilet. She is there because she is under house arrest for crimes of harassment. This changes how we see her. Myrtle isn't just a victim. She is a complex, flawed character. In death, she found the power she lacked in life. The power to strike fear, the power to hurt. The bullied girl became the bully. But even in her rage, there is a deep, aching sadness. She is stuck in a loop of teenage angst, eternally 14, eternally angry, trapped in a bathroom that smells of damp stone and regret. And yet, in this isolation, she found a strange new role. She became a confessor. She became the one person in the castle who would listen to the secrets of broken boys. There is a profound sadness in the fact that Myrtle's only friends were the boys who were haunting the same bathroom where she died. She has a strange, almost maternal connection to the chosen ones of the story. Think about Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. When he needs to solve the riddle of the golden egg, he goes to the prefect's bathroom. He is vulnerable, submerged in water, confused. Myrtle is there. She isn't just spying, she is guiding him. She is the one who helps him understand the Mer people's song. In that moment, she isn't a nuisance. She is a mentor. But the most heartbreaking connection is with Draco Malfoy. In The Half-Blood Prince, Draco is tasked with killing Albus Dumbledore. The pressure is eating him alive. He can't talk to his friends. They wouldn't understand. He can't talk to his parents. They are the cause of his pain. So where does the proud Slytherin prince go? He goes to the girl in the toilet. Harry finds Draco crying at the sinks. He is confessing his fears to Myrtle, and Myrtle is comforting him. She says, "Don't tell me what I don't know. I try to help you." It is a stunning parallel. Decades earlier, she was killed by a Slytherin boy, Tom Riddle, who had lost his soul. Now she is trying to save the soul of another Slytherin boy, Draco Malfoy, before he loses his. She witnessed the birth of the first monster, and she tried to prevent the creation of the second. She is the secret keeper of Hogwarts. She saw Tom Riddle's coldness. She saw Harry Potter's bravery. She saw Draco Malfoy's tears. So, the next time you watch the movies or read the books and you see the transparent girl floating above the U-bend, don't just see a joke. Don't just see Moaning Myrtle. See Myrtle Warren. See the girl who was bullied for her glasses. See the student who loved to read. See the victim whose death fueled a war she never asked to be part of. She is the ghost of the castle, his failures. She is the reminder that even in a world of magic, cruelty leaves scars that not even death can heal. Hogwarts moved on. The students graduated. The heroes won. But Myrtle remains. Waiting in the silence, listening to the drip, drip, drip of the water, forever 14, and forever alone. The story of the boy who lived is famous, but let us never forget the story of the girl who died.